The Scout Skills YouTube channel presents Scout Rank Requirement 2A. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos that help you increase your understanding of Scout skills, improve your skill proficiency, work on merit badge completion, and rank advancement. Scout Rank Requirement 2A. Describe how the Scouts in the troop provide its leadership. Guys, we got to clear this up right out of the gate. This is Boy Scouting, not Dad Scouting. Scouting's not like anything you've ever experienced before. Think about it. In your home where your parents are in charge, in the classroom where the teacher is in charge, on the Little League field where the coach is in charge, adults talk and youth are expected to listen. Well, guess what? Scouting turns that upside down. Here, you're in charge and you talk and we listen and you decide what we want to do, and the adult leaders are here to help you get the program that you asked for yourselves. A scout troop is never going to run as smoothly as a Cub Scout or a Webelos Den meeting because the adults were in charge back then. They're older. They're used to being in charge. They have experience being in charge. But a Boy Scout troop is ran by the boys themselves. You don't magically get leadership skills just because you put a patch on your arm. Those skills have to be learned. This is the place to do it. So when it doesn't run as smoothly as you thought it would, that's totally okay. That's what we're doing here is we're learning together what works and what doesn't work. I got to tell you, some of the best lessons in scouting come when everything goes wrong. And let me warn you guys, this is your program. This is where you get to decide what trips you want to make, what destinations you want to go to, and how you're going to go about making skill instruction fun and interesting. Saying I'm bored is never allowed because that means that you don't understand how the program works. You should be working within the program to make sure that all the guys in the troop are doing things and doing things the way that they find entertaining. So I'm going to tell you, now's the time. You have to step up and own it. And don't say you can't do it because you're only 11 or 12 years old or even 16 or 17. The truth is that American youth have been running Boy Scout troops just like this since the year 1910 when scouting came to the United States from England. So guys, it's okay to make mistakes. Things don't always have to run smoothly. All we're going to ask you to do is learn from your mistakes and try to do a better job next time. Are we clear on that? Because now we're going to talk about how you run this troop. So here's a guy and he says, "Hey, are you the boss?" And the scoutmaster rightfully answers, "Not if I'm doing my job correctly." Because the scoutmaster's job is to teach the senior patrol leader how to run the troop. We're going to talk about that next. So here's how all this works. Imagine there's a group of young guys that want to get together and go and have adventures and have fun and play games and learn really cool stuff along the way. So their parents take them to a church or a school or a fire department or some other organization that has started a scouting unit. And that scouting unit, called a charter organization, has hired some grown-ups to do some important jobs. One of them is the scoutmaster, and he's got an assistant or two. And the scoutmasters and his assistants are going to look at this group of guys and they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to break you down into smaller units called patrols." And each patrol is going to choose its own patrol leader. And that patrol leader gets to choose an assistant to help him get the job done. And because we have more than one patrol, we need to have one more layer of management to keep it all under control. And you guys get to elect the senior patrol leader, and he gets an assistant. And then the senior patrol leader and his assistant get to reach out to the other guys in the troop and appoint them to a whole bunch of other positions so that certain jobs can get done, from bugler to scribe to librarian to webmaster. There's lots for the boys to do because everybody has a hand in the success of the troop. So now that you understand that these guys have come together and they've elected their own leaders and they all have some leadership positions, the truth is that all these guys now get together and form something called the Patrol Leader Council. This is where boys lead boys, and the council decides what we're going to do. The scoutmaster and his assistants, their job is to provide guidance to these guys. Got it? Good. Let's talk about it. The Scoutmaster. Well, clearly the word Scoutmaster comes from our origin of scouting over in that place called England, where in England a school teacher used to be called a schoolmaster. So don't think of your Scoutmaster as the master of all scouts. Think of him as a teacher of the scouting program. The primary job of the Scoutmaster and his assistant is to teach the senior patrol leader how to run his own troop. Now, guys, remember, that takes some work. It's a work in progress. We don't expect perfection right away, and neither should you. The Scoutmaster provides the guidance and the oversight to make sure that everything we're doing is safe, the destinations and the ideas make sense, and make sure that we're always following the BSA safety policies and advancement policies so that we do scouting the right way. The Scoutmaster's job is to build a boy-led unit that's ran by the senior patrol leader. A Scoutmaster should do as little leading as possible. Now, that doesn't mean he shouldn't be up there teaching skills that nobody else has or providing guidance, but he shouldn't be the guy in charge, and he shouldn't be the one planning the program. That's for you to do. And he has an obligation to monitor the program as a whole to make sure that all the youth members are having a great scouting experience. And then he has the responsibility to report back to the unit committee and let them know how the program that involves all of you guys is working out, and lets the committee know what the Patrol Leader Council meeting has decided to do in their planning meeting. The senior patrol leader, as I said, he's the youth that is actually in charge of the whole troop. He's elected by the youth leaders, democratic leadership in action. And even though he's in charge, he serves at the pleasure of the Scoutmaster. So if something really goes haywire, it is the Scoutmaster's right to guide him, to coach him, and hopefully never, but possibly, ask him to step down until he's maybe a little more mature to run the program. But the senior patrol leader is also responsible for planning and executing the weekly and monthly meetings and outings. His job is to deal as a peer with the Scoutmaster and the Scoutmaster's assistants, and work with the assistant senior patrol leader and interact with the patrol leaders to get the patrols to do what they need to do for the troop to run smoothly. And as we said earlier, the senior patrol leader and his assistant get to appoint other youth to various leadership positions. He owns the overall responsibility for the troop and the part of the program that all of you boys get to see and do every week when you get together. The patrol leaders are that leader of a smaller group of boys. He too is elected by the members of his patrol. Democratic leadership in action. He's responsible for leading his individual patrol during meetings and outings, and he has the greatest responsibility of all, is to make sure that he's communicating with the members of his patrol so that he can represent their voices, their wishes, their desires, their ideas for fun and excitement the next time that he gets together with the rest of the Patrol Leader Council. The patrol method. The founder of scouting put it pretty simple. The patrol method isn't some way to run the troop, it's the only way. We have to use patrols and group boys by age, interest, and abilities to make sure that you're surrounded by guys who are just like you, who are able to do the things that you want to do and are strong enough to do so that you can function as a unit together. We have a program here where we keep groups of guys small enough so that everybody has something to do and you never get lost in the crowd or you move to the back of the group and watch other people do stuff. Everybody has a part to play in scouting, whether it's at the patrol level or the troop level or the committee level. Everybody gets a chance to do. And the other thing that's so much fun in the troop is that in the patrol method, each patrol has a unique identity. They have their own leader. They get their own name. They make their own flag. They have their own yell. And in the spirit of positive competition, they can go after each other to see who's the loudest, who's advancing the best, who's the best behaved, cooks the best meals, builds the coolest fires, or puts on the funniest skits at the campfire. The patrol method is a great experience. The Patrol Leaders Council, or the PLC. We talked about this already, but let's just read it out on the screen. This is where the elected patrol leaders get together, and they represent the ideas and the desires and the needs of their individual patrol. The PLC meeting is led by the SPL and his assistant, and they operate under the guidance of the Scoutmaster. This is where the Scoutmaster gets to make sure that everybody's properly learning and doing what they need to do to build their own leadership skills and execute their leadership positions awesomely. Now, things you don't see but you might want to know about is this thing called a charter organization and the troop committee. So the church that you go to or the firehouse that you go to, they're the charter organization. They actually own your scouting program. They sign an annual charter, which is an agreement with the National District of Scouting in Irving, Texas, that says for us to be a Boy Scout unit, this is how we're going to operate. They own all the equipment, including all the money in the treasury. And it's their job and their job alone to hire and fire the adult leaders to make sure that you have the right adults in charge so that your scouting experience is awesome. Down from the charter organization is the group of adults who form the troop committee. Their primary job is simple. Give the troop and the scoutmaster and the senior patrol leader what they need to execute an awesome program. Their job is to make sure that they're getting the right adults in the right leadership position, making sure that they're doing the right fundraising so that when you decide to take an awesome trip, there's money there to pay for it, and to make sure that all your badges and awards are being able to be purchased and presented to you at the Court of Honors. They also make sure that everybody's doing their job, even the scoutmaster. As you know, everybody's got a boss. And they also make sure that all the paperwork, all that boring stuff that we need to do to keep records to make sure that your rank advancement and your merit badge completion and even your time in a leadership position has been properly logged and kept track of so that you can have it on record when you go for your Eagle Scout. So, the charter organization hires a troop committee. The troop committee hires the scoutmaster, and the scoutmaster's job is to work with the elected youth leaders to try to get us to a 100% boy-run troop. Your job in all of this is to communicate. Let your patrol leader know what you want to do for fun. Where do you want to go? And how can you do something like first aid sound interesting? Can you do like a Harry Potter themed camping trip where you use your map and compass to go through the woods finding Horcruxes? Maybe you want to find some theme that nobody's thought of yet to make your scouting experience really, really cool. That's your job. You got to speak up and let your patrol leader know. The other part of your job is you have to be disciplined. You elected your leaders to lead you. That means you have to be willing to respect their leadership and be willing to follow. And your patrol leaders have a job too, to represent you to the senior patrol leader. And the patrol leader, senior patrol leader, and his assistants have a commitment to making sure that all the patrols are functioning well so that the patrols come together to form a troop. You follow all that? It's kind of important and it's really, really special. Like I said, Boy Scouting is not like anything you've ever done before. And now, if you really embrace the idea of boy-led leadership, is awesome because you get to make up the program for yourselves. So if that all made sense, congratulations. You just completed Scout Rank Requirement 2A. Now you know how the youth provide the leadership for a scouting unit. Remember that for your patrol leaders to be good leaders, you have to be willing to be good followers. We all have a role in making the troop the best it can be.